From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Hello, Mr. and Mrs. America. I am Keith Allen, and proudly welcoming you to this Friday's edition of For the People for November the 9th, 2018. And here we go again. I'm talking about the election probe that's going on right now, an investigation. Rick Scott, our governor, not liking the results very much. And as a matter of fact, a lot of Republicans not liking the results, and a lot of folks on the left, believe it or not, suspicious of the behavior in Broward County, etc. We're going to be talking about that just coming up right now. And, you know, I got to tell you, folks, none of this stuff really surprises me, because in 2000, you remember the whole deal with George W. Same counties, same stuff, and you think that they would have been, geared up, ready for anything. And no, liberal activists are doing everything that they possibly can, in my opinion, the way it looks, because of the fact when you were watching the numbers come in. And of course, it's something that I enjoy. I just think it's beautiful because it's part of the process. When it's done right, and when Americans go to the polls to make their decision of whoever it is that they're going to vote for, I never tell anybody exactly who to vote for. I will give you facts and information and opinions, but ultimately when you go in, Republican, Democrat, Independent, what have you, that is the beauty of living in America, that your vote is counted no matter how you voted. But anyway, back to the numbers here. Scott was ahead 34,000. Okay, and it was called, and bada bing, bada boom, but a very Rick Scott anger message. He was enraged because usually the guy's really mild-mannered most of the time, but man, was he not fueled up and angry. It was an impromptu press conference on the front porch of the governor's mansion last night. And Rick Scott just announced that he's ordering an investigation into the supervisor of elections offices in Palm Beach and Broward counties for what he described as rampant fraud. You got U.S. Senator Bill Nelson inching ahead in votes for the Senate race in those two counties, and our governor accusing unethical liberal election officials of trying to steal the election away from him. And this is a quote from Rick Scott. "I will not sit idly by while unethical liberals try to steal this election from the great people of Florida," Scott said. "No ragtag group of liberal activists or lawyers from D.C. will be allowed to steal this election from the voters in the state of Florida." And then yesterday, Nelson continued gaining votes from what is called mail-in and provisional ballots in Palm Beach and Broward counties. So there's a lawsuit filed against the election supervisors of those counties, calling for an investigation by the Florida Department of Law Enforcement into Broward County Election Office. And the Broward supervisor of election, Brenda Snipes, apparently has what they call an acting history of acting in bad faith, according to our governor. And, as you can recall, he says a judge ruled just this year that the office violated both state and federal laws by illegally destroying ballots in 2016, which is true. I verified it. It's true. It's factual. I remember reporting it on the show. Rick Scott on Twitter earlier. every Floridian should be concerned there may be rampant fraud happening in Palm Beach and Broward counties. The people of Florida deserve fairness, transparency, and the supervisors are failing to give it to us. Folks, it's not funny, but here we go again. It is sad that we are here again, but there's going to be a recount, and no matter who gets the votes, when it's done right, finally, then that person will be the rightful governor of the state of Florida, or senator, because we have stuff going on from here to Arizona. There's questionable things going around the country, and I always think to myself, how many people really will investigate this? But how many illegals, seriously, illegal immigrants vote in the elections? And we have found many times that they do vote, and dead people vote. I really hope that these mail-in ballots, wherever they might be coming from, are legal on the up and up, and they really investigate to see if there's legitimacy to them. Because when the election for Hillary Clinton, for the presidential election, it was found that people voted with the same name in various states. They drove around state to state to state to state and voted again and again and again. Yeah, and I just don't put it past liberal activists to hit them low and hit them high and wherever you can hit them just to do it, to get them out there, because they've already said they would. And they in this for them is anti-Trump, no matter who it is, because they support Trump. They're Trumpers and they're Republicans and it doesn't matter. They don't see anything else. No accomplishments. They don't see virtue, values. They see Trump in these folks. And if you are a conservative, breathing conservative today, they will just see Donald Trump, and if you mention that, then they will hate you. They won't like you. They won't invite you over for a meal. It just won't happen. Now, there's the exception to that rule where there's people that have come together and have just come to a place and being an adult to leave the politics outside the door, where they enjoy some friendly conversation. And if they do go to politics, they know to be nice. I mean, you can talk to a liberal. I talk to them all the time. You can talk to, but it's a balancing act. You know you can press the buttons. You know where to press the buttons. You know how to press those buttons. But when it comes down to this contentious recount, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen. My gut instinct, ladies and gentlemen, at this point is that Rick Scott rightfully has the vote for the U.S. Senate. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. I've been wrong before, but my gut just tells me that there is something fishy going on in those two counties here in Florida. But the fight continues, and we'll be monitoring it. I know you'll be watching it. My mother, she's been Facebooking me and Twittering me and saying, Rick Scott's on Sean Hannity. Rick Scott's on all the networks. But yes, I'm very aware of what's going on here in the state of Florida. And, Florida is just such an important state. So many people here. The I-4 corridor, et cetera, but we just don't need more of this. But unfortunately, these midterm elections, very important and bitterly contested. I mean, it's a reprise, I got to tell you, of 2000 all over again. It really is. It's kind of like that movie with Bill Murray, Groundhog Day. Love the movie. Got to watch the movie again. Again and again. Yeah, it's just a great movie. But seriously, here we are again. In Arizona, Democratic candidates Christie Sinema suddenly took a narrow 9,600 vote lead over GOP opponent Martha McSally late Thursday, which was yesterday, with some 400,000 votes left to count. They're in a closely watched race that will determine the size and influence of the Republican Senate majority in January. And while Georgia, too, hosts a war of words over the contested outcome of the state's gubernatorial contest, yes, our own state, Florida, has captured the political world's attention as both sides accuse the other of trying to steal the election with an airtight Senate and gubernatorial race on the line. And, man, there's, people want that power, and some people will win at any. And I just want it fair. Whether it's a liberal that's going to sit in there, seriously, as a flag-waving American, patriotic American, moderate conservative as I call myself these days, and for quite a while, actually, over 15, 20 years, moderate conservative. There was one time where I considered myself just straight right-wing, not a nut job. Right-wing conspiratorial. I subscribed to some of those things in my early 20s. I liked them. I enjoyed them. They were fun to listen to. It was great radio. But people like Alex Jones, I'm sorry, Sandy Hook and all that's just crazy. That's just nut job stuff. We're not talking nut job here. I'm open-minded. I'm a realist. And I just want fairness. And that's where I stand on all of this stuff. So, again, Rick Scott suing the election supervisor over the ballots. We're going to sit back and he's demanding Broward's Brenda Snipes to be ordered to turn over the several records detailing the counting and the collection of ballots cast in Tuesday's election. They are seeking an emergency hearing as the votes must be certified by noon on Saturday. So Saturday's the deadline. Saturday's the deadline. So if you're listening to it on Saturday, it's the deadline. And the lawsuit filed about the same time Scott ordered state law enforcement officials to investigate the Broward and Palm Beach County voting operation. And they found 78,000 new votes since Election Day, 2 days ago in Broward County, and 15,000 more votes in Palm Beach. So it's interesting. And Scott says, we don't know how many more votes that they are going to come up with, but it sure appears that they are going to find as many votes as they can to win the election. So again, the governor says, I have asked the Florida Department of Law Enforcement to do an investigation. We filed a lawsuit. We're going to fight this, and we're going to win. So there you go. Who will end up being the senator? We don't know. We don't know at this point. I know who I'd want to. And most people here goes without saying. This is a shame. I got this, my stomach just curdles right now, and just I want to get sick. And this is just sad. Another massacre. You've heard it in Las Vegas. You heard about that. But the California bar shooting. What's the parallel here besides the violence? Orfanos, 27 years old, was a military veteran, too, having served in U.S. Navy from 2011 to 2014. He moved back to California to stay with his parents after he finished his service, and at the time of Wednesday's shooting, he was working for a car dealership. On October 1st, 2017, Orfanos was at Route 91, depending on where you live, you route, but the Harvest Festival in Las Vegas, when a gunman perched inside the MGM hotel room, remember that, overlooking the concert venue, he rained down a hail of gunfire, that's what it is, of helpless hundreds below, and Stephen Paddock killed 58 people there, but he was there and he escaped death. Orfanos made it out alive, and on Thursday morning, his mother... And this is really, I think, what did it this morning. This is kind of like give you the Maylocks here. This is what she had to say about discovering that her son actually passed away in that bar.
My son was in Las Vegas with a lot of his friends, and he came home. He didn't come home last night, and I don't want prayers